If you read the startup section of Arabian Business, it seems like on every day we're reading about another fledgling entrepreneur that's just succeeded in raising millions of dollars from VC in funding. But common wisdom tells us that 9 out of 10 businesses, particularly startups, will fail. So what are the secrets of success? And is this now the best time to launch your business? Well, I'm delighted today to be joined on AV Talks by Genny Ghanime, who is the founder of Minecloud Tribe, an online platform designed to help would-be entrepreneurs take their first steps on the run, which is now launching its Tech 2.0 platform. So this is a new offering to help entrepreneurs take those first steps. Genny, thank you for joining us here on AV Talks.
Hi, Scott. How are you? Thank you for having me.
So before we get into the work of Minecloud Tribe, just give us your sense of the market right now. Is it the best time to start your own business?
It's always the best time to start your own business, but it's true because of what's happening currently. We're going through massive changes globally, and COVID only accelerated that. We're faced with a lot of problems, and entrepreneurship at the core is about solving problems. Old companies are becoming obsolete models, and they cannot even reinvent themselves. Yes. So in a sense, it's the best way for entrepreneurship because it's preparing the way for the new era, which is the knowledge economy. And around this, that's why a lot of countries are supporting heavily and strongly entrepreneurship at youth level and different phases, because everyone understands the need not only for job creation. Initially, it started as a tool for job creation, but this is really, innovation is now about our survival and transitioning into the knowledge economy.
It seems, and maybe this is a byproduct of all the fiscal stimulus that's in the world, it seems like there's more investment cash out there in the world than there has ever been. What's your sense of that? Is that what, are you seeing that as well? How long do you think that perhaps VC gold rush might last?
I'm not sure it's ever related to that, because we've seen some of the biggest companies, even the big unicorn, if you take history, they started and were funded even in recession times and depression times. So it's not, and when there's extra cash in the market, usually it means a company would be overvaluated and easy money and not necessarily a higher rate of success. So I don't think this is a factor. Money is always there. Right. When there's a right a problem solved, the right problem fit, and the right product market fit, and the right team, there's always money to be to fund these companies.
So it's basically about having the right
idea. How much this, yeah. So as for how long this now, the boom will, a lot of economists and bankers around the world are saying we might see it slowing down Q4 this year.
Right.
And that's because the repercussions of COVID and a lot of the real economy business is taking a hit, and let's see what's happening. But I don't think entrepreneurship should ever be linked to this, because the money is always there.
I like that. Give me your sense of the opportunity here in the UAE, though, because we've obviously been writing Arabian Business. There's been a lot of government projects and a lot of government initiatives targeting the SME and startup sector. So we seem to be getting lots of startup hubs arriving. So yeah, sorry, your take on the UAE opportunity.
Yeah, so the UAE managed to be the leading country in the Arab world regarding startup, and that's because they really started working on supporting the ecosystem and building that ecosystem 10 years ago. 10 years ago, when I was an entrepreneur, I was doing fintech. Fintech wasn't even a term back then.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as regulation for fintech. Like I had to work with legal firms and central bank to start creating a framework for crowdfunding. Versus now, a fintech company starting, you have DIFC and ADGM, they have sandboxes for regulation. It's much easier. The ecosystem really evolved. 10 years ago, I needed to go to a traditional law firm and I was paying exorbitant amounts of money. Today, you have startups law firms, which are boutiques, small. They understand the needs of entrepreneurs and they charge them accordingly.
Yeah.
Everything changed and the ecosystem, although it's a small market, the UAE, for companies to grow, but this is where they choose to come, start, and then grow to other markets from here. And the last factor that is extremely important is the talent who is here in Dubai. So you can easily access talent here. They are present we're seeing a lot of interest in fintech, edtech, and health tech. So these are especially COVID accelerated these three sectors, and a lot is done to support these industries. So fintech is running wild, edtech is running wild, and health tech.
So tell me about the work. Give me your helicopter view of the work you're doing there at Minecloud Tribe then. It's an online platform that's designed to help anyone with a dream take their first steps on the entrepreneurial rung, shall we say. Give me a sense of what you're doing there.
Yeah, so this whole thing started because I run an entrepreneurship academy, and like I worked closely with around 150 startups and entrepreneurs. And when you work with so many people at grassroots, you start understanding the challenges and the common challenges that everyone has, and then because you see them at the different stages and where they stop, where they fail, where they have challenges, where they reach Series A, you start gathering a lot of data about what it takes to succeed, other than just the view on yourself and what made you succeed or fail personally. So I start having a more general view about it. And so from there, we identified three challenges that all entrepreneurs need at different stages. Because entrepreneurship is different stages. You launch, you face challenges at launch, and then you learn from it, you raise money, you start generating revenues, you need to grow the team, you face more challenges, then you have to pivot, grow the company more, grow to markets, grow products, raise more money. So it's a continuous, it's never the same, it's always changing, and it needs a continuous upskilling of yourself and the team. And if someone isn't in this mindset of, I'm gonna wake up today, I don't know what is facing me.
Yeah.
And today I'm going to solve the problems of the day. And in 1 year, the whole culture of the company might be different, the whole setup of the company. You might have to change everything. It's a constant change, and it's also a roller coaster of ups and downs. And so it's about keeping yourself focused, keeping the company focused, the team focused, weathering through it. So one of these challenges is this understanding that you need different skills at different times.
Yeah.
You will not think of the HR strategy when you're figuring out your prototype, right? But this is very essential to succeed after 1 year. If you don't figure out this, you're going to fail. So, and this is an example of what I'm saying. When you're prototyping, you're probably not thinking of your branding and logo. You're just thinking, do I have a prototype? Are the people going to accept it? So we identified 25 topics, branding, UI, UX, HR, finance, fundraising, leadership, etc. And we started developing video tutorials in those 25 topics. And to date, we have over 75 video tutorials,
Wow.
which are designed for the entrepreneur and his whole team to dig into at various stages. And the goal is to keep growing that library of content. The second thing entrepreneurs always also need is a simple way to and a structured way to build your business plan and investment deck. Even though everyone knows what a business plan and investment deck is, it's a tedious work. And even myself, when I have to do one, I use a website to do it, because it asks you a question and gives you a structure, and then you have to follow it, and it makes it a bit easier. So we also created an extremely simple way. We identified 16 tools, templates, Excel sheets that you need to learn. We created video tutorials about each one, and then a tool builder for each one. So all you have to do is go through the series of 16, learn them if you don't know them, and then just do the tool builder, answer questions. And by the end of the journey, you have built your business plan. So this is a tool you would need either while starting or raising money later, or growing the company, or pivoting. And the last thing that everyone asks us is, do you know an expert in that particular expertise I could work with? So we thought to create the LinkedIn of those experts from the same experts giving the tutorials. So you watched a couple of videos in digital marketing. Let's say we have 3 experts and you like one of them and you need a digital marketing to speak to, then you could connect one of them, book a session, and probably work with them. But then you start knowing which expert knows about the expertise you need at a different time. So it's those 3 offerings, and the tribe is an asynchronistic model, meaning you could learn anything at any point. It's not bound to time. And you have your own dashboard. So the dashboard would tell you what you are learning, what you achieve, what you completed, and what you have to complete, watch later, etc. So this is what a tribe is. It's really the tool that, in my opinion, I used to do microfinance because I believed that access to funding was the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs to start business. So I believed in giving money to small entrepreneurs. And having worked on the field, I discovered the success of micro entrepreneurs, by the way, the data shows, wasn't that they gave them money, is because they told them basic things that they didn't know, like doing their accounts, or learning how to market themselves, or where to supply their raw material. And then I started coaching entrepreneurs. And from the questions I was asked, I realized that not everyone knows the knowledge that I take for granted, because I joined a business school and I had friends entrepreneurs and I joined an accelerator. So I formed a certain knowledge, and this is what makes success. So the success of entrepreneurs is understanding we all have knowledge gaps, and understanding the knowledge gaps don't reveal themselves in one go. They are at different stages, and we need to always continuously learn and upskill ourselves. And that's what Tribe does with entrepreneurs.
So you talked there about success. On the flip side of that, what are the biggest mistakes you see startups make, and how do you address that through the work at Minecloud Tribe?
The first mistake is not focusing on the problem they're solving, and focusing more on the product. They have to focus on the product, but this is at a later stage. I think it's very overlooked, focusing on the problem itself. We're solving, and that I mean, make sure that the users have that problem and are looking for a solution.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we think there's a problem and it's my problem, but there is no the others don't really see it as a problem and are not willing to adopt a new solution.
Yeah. And you mentioned an interesting thing back there. You talked about, and you dropped that word in, pivoting. Because I've read stories of businesses that successfully launch its product, you know, only to find that nobody wants it. So how important is that to kind of build in a pivot process and be, you know, and just very quickly, like, what does it mean to pivot? We started out going to do one thing, but we need to recognize quite early on that maybe we need to be doing something entirely different.
Yeah, so I'll explain pivot, and actually pivoting is one of the courses we give at the academy and on Tribe. So the business model has 9 components, as you know, because you attended the workshop. So it has the customer segments, the value proposition, the revenue model, channels, customer relationships, key resources, key activities, key partners, and the cost. This is the business model. It has 9 elements. Pivoting the business model is pivoting one or all the components. So let's say I have built a company, and I discover that I have initially I thought this is my target customer, and then I discovered that another kind of customers are adopting it, and because another kind of customers are adopting it, I have to tweak a bit this offering for that particular. Or I could build a tech, and I have an audience using the tech, but I discovered that I could completely use this tech for something else for the same customer. Or you could, so this is how, so it's not pivoting everything. I think a very good example is YouTube. YouTube didn't start as YouTube. I think initially it was a dating video app.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or something like that. Even Twitter wasn't the current form. PayPal wasn't what it is. So all these pivoted. So they discover either there's better monetization to do it like this. So on this tech, we will build more, or on this audience, we will build differently. So pivoting, by definition, is changing one or all the elements of the business model you currently are working on. But usually it's changing 1 or 2 components of the business model.
So here's a question for you. Are entrepreneurs born? Is there something in their DNA that makes them entrepreneurial, or is it a set of skills that one can learn?
I think it's both. Initially, entrepreneurs, so when they study the psychology of entrepreneurs and the successful ones, they are very particular in their psychology, in the sense they are very stubborn, full of themselves, extremely positive. They could be con artists because they're great sales, for example. That's the extreme side of it. But extremely optimist, could be borderline stubborn or persistent, extremely resilient, and they like to take the lead. They could be very visionary or dreamy. They don't fit in under authority. And they could not be great in details, for example, like versus a manager or C-level. They are great in details. They know how to micromanage. An entrepreneur might not be that, and that could be one of the failure of entrepreneur, and he would need someone to micromanage.
Yeah.
But so initially it's this, but it doesn't mean it's a recipe for success. It also means it's this same character is a recipe for disaster. But there are skills that you learn as an entrepreneur. So yes, it can be learned. And once you start doing it, it's an acquired a new persona that
Okay. So then here's a question. If you could go back to Genny just before your first startup, you talk about acquiring skills and learning lessons. What would you tell Genny just before your first startup?
Don't become an entrepreneur.
I mean, it does seem that there's a completely, like, it is a different mindset, isn't it? It's because, you know, there are people that turn up 9 to 5, they do their job and they do their job well, but they know what they're getting every day. Because that's, whereas it does seem, you know, you're in a much more chaotic universe the minute you decide.
My mistake and the first startup actually was I didn't do the proper product market fit.
Right.
So initially I was studying in England, so all my case studies were on US and England, so I didn't take into account the UAE behavior of people. And I thought because the model is successful in the US and Europe, it meant naturally it would be successful in the UAE. So I've teamed up with #1 company, tech in the world. We built a crowdfunding platform. We had the best partners. Everything was great. What wasn't great, and that's the mistake, was not understanding the behavior of people in this market. Regarding crowdfunding, the behavior wasn't there. Regarding even like crowd lending, you know, most of the countries where we would go, they would tell us that lending is haram. Even though it was 0% interest and there wasn't even interest. So I didn't understand all this, and I didn't take time to research the product market fit and even understand how to position it for a market. Like the whole behavior wasn't there. We spent 3 years educating the market on crowd lending. Yeah.
So final question, which is a question about a question, which is, what's the biggest question that startups don't ask themselves before they start on their journey?
I think they don't stop to ask themselves what is the mission of the company, the purpose, not the mission, the purpose, and what is my purpose in that purpose. And this is very important, because if you are not aligned with that, you won't be able to weather the ups and downs of that company. So I think the company has to have a purpose initially. And I need to know my purpose and how aligned is it, how both are aligned. Because again, if it's not, I'm gonna be bored or be completely dysfunctional with it after a year, and my team will feel it. And so I think this is what very rarely anyone would stop because they're taken by the excitement of building a new thing, and they don't stop to ask what is the purpose of the company on, and myself and the team into this, doing this.
Genny, it feels like I have been to class. Thank you very much today for joining us at AP Talks. And I will be starting my own business soon now, thanks to that. Boss, if you're watching, no, I'm not. Genny, thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Scott.